Hi, I'm Jess,
Hi, I'm Kristen.
and this is ReDIScover, a conversation where we travel through everything that makes up the essence of who we are and how to live authentically and imaginatively.
Here, we invite you to join us as we explore and discuss a little bit of, well, everything.
From Disney to cultivating your most authentic life to deepening your relationships and talking about the real stuff.
We hope you'll find this a space that speaks to you, encourages you, and brings a little bit of magic into your day.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jess.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
And welcome back to this week's episode of ReDIScover. Welcome back for another fun week of Travel Month. We are so excited about today's topic because I think what we're talking about today is probably one of our favorite ways to travel. It's so unique, it has so many fun qualities, and we are just going to do a deep dive into road tripping.
Yeah, I think we all associate like summertime with road trips. It's definitely very like Americana, along with, like picnics and barbecues and things like that. Here in the States, we have the advantage of being able to travel from state to state super easily. You don't have to go through customs or get on a train or get on the channel or anything like that. You can just keep driving and see as many states as you want in a day, depending on your stamina for being in a car. But you can also stop along the way, get off at any exit, stop and see some weird, cool landmarks, and see lots of different landscapes and climates and cultures in a day or two or three also. So it's a really cool way to travel. We've definitely been doing a lot of road tripping when it wasn't so safe to fly, and I think it's a great way to go. So we're really excited to talk about road tripping.
And we thought today would be the perfect opportunity to bring on a guest for this conversation. And we invited one of my very dear friends, Erika King, who, in my eyes, is like a professional road tripper. She has done some incredible itineraries and tends to road trip all the time. So, Erika, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hey, guys.
Hey, we're so happy to have you. Erika and I have been best friends since 2017. We met on our VIP Tours professional internship, and we've been inseparable ever since. We actually spent a lot of our time on that internship working the VIP Tours valet, which required us to sit in a car for about 10 hours a day, 5 days a week at one point in our lives. So being in cars with Erika is just, part of our beautiful friendship.
It is.
Love it. It makes me think of the Netflix show with Jerry Seinfeld, when he literally just like invites different comedians to sit in a car with him, and then they just drive around and talk.
I'm telling you, that was us, and we were probably just as funny, if not.
Road trip conversations.
Most iconic comedians of all time, just as confident. We were probably just as funny.
We were. God, that was honestly one of the best segments of my whole life. I'd relive it in a heartbeat.
Agree.
Oh,
Amazing.
God. We were laughing and singing and having a ball. So just like a road trip.
Erika is our self-proclaimed road trip guru. She is, I feel like the word spontaneous doesn't even cover it. You're just like, let's go, let's explore, let's see all the things. And it just feels like, first of all, you guys, if you're not following her on Instagram at January Sonder, we will link it below. But just looking through your Instagram and like following your adventures, it just feels effortless. But we know that travel is not always like an effortless thing. So we're excited today to get some of your like insight and your sort of like do's and don'ts. So yeah. Jess, take it away.
Actually, before we start questions, Erika, do you want to kind of give us a little background on yourself and what you love about travel in general and maybe road trips specifically?
Sure. I actually just got home from California last night for my fiance's family trip out there to visit my new.
By the way.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thanks. I was out in California, and I said to him yesterday, I was like, I really think I like road trips way more than flying and doing those kinds of trips, because I had also just gotten done with the road trip like a week or two prior to that, pre-California. And yeah, so I didn't really even get into travel as much until I met Jess, because prior
Hey.
to that, I like my family would go to like Disney and whatever, and that was like our one big trip we did every single year for like my whole life. And I'd go to Vegas to visit my family out there, but I didn't really like seek out traveling that much until I met Jess and we started doing a bunch of stuff and going places. And then I was like, whoa, let's travel everywhere. So not that much of a background of travel, I guess. But that is why I like to now, thanks to my friend Jess.
Hey.
And so now I have this travel Instagram that I have been trying to build a community of people trying to, road trip travel and do bucket list crazy things and whatnot. So that's been really fun to do. And yeah, now I'm traveling all the time and whenever I can, literally spend all my money on traveling.
It's the best hobby to invest in because the payoff is just like eternal memories and experiences. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so that's a little bit about Erika. And why don't we just hop right into some road trip questions? We prepared a lot of fun questions around the whole topic of road trips to kind of talk about it from all different angles. And we're excited to hear your perspectives because we know you've been road tripping a lot, especially over the past year and a half. So, first question. So, Erika, when you are getting ready to go on a road trip, what does your planning process tend to look like? And if you have any tips that you'd love to share, I'm sure our listeners would love to hear them.
Yes. Okay. So I don't really plan a whole lot. I'm not a big like long-term planner. This is exactly where I want to go, what I want to do. I really just choose a general route of where I want to go, unless there's like specific places I need to be. But I guess when planning, if depending on where I'm going, I'll see, okay, am I going to hit some place, some state, some city where I know someone where I could stay with them for a night or two and visit them? Am I going to see family that I can do the same with? Just kind of saves costs a little bit when you're already spending money on gas and everything, food, whatever you want to do. Knowing how far and for how long you can drive, distance isn't as much. It's more so how long can I sit in the car until I'm miserable
Yeah.
and stop and do something or eat or sleep or whatever. I don't like planning exactly where I'm going to go because that kills the spontaneity of it. So if you see you're driving along, I'm in Texas, I'm driving all the way up to Seattle and I'm like, hey, I want to go stop in this state real quick. And that wasn't on my original itinerary. I'm going to go, all right, well, an extra 3 hours, let's go do this real quick. So that'll be fun. So sometimes that's just how the planning goes. So not planning is how I prefer to road trip and just having the general idea where I want to go tentatively, not set in stone.
I
Not
love
planning is planning. It's the strategy.
That's the
and
move.
the whole point of the road trip is it's your timeline and you have the flexibility to you are the transportation. Nobody's, flying a plane that you're on or you're not on a
Right.
train or something. So you can just decide, oh, I actually want to get off here. Like one time I was driving home from Charleston and we saw the Savannah like this many miles sign and I was like, oh, I really want to go to Savannah. So we were like, why not? And I was in the passenger seat and I like found a hotel while we were like 40
Yeah.
minutes out, booked it for 2 nights. And then we got there and we were like, hi, we're checking it.
Yeah.
And it was the greatest part of the trip because it was just like this unexpected little joyful, like, okay, new thing. It's not over yet. Like it can go on as long as you wanted to. So this is a big one for me because I'm a bit of a planner. I will admit it. What do you believe are the best things to pack for a road trip? Like, what are your absolute non-negotiables that you need?
I don't need a whole lot. I need a blanket because I'm
Ooh.
cold literally all the time. So get a snuggie so you can keep driving. um, if you're gonna be, depending on what you're doing or where you're going, I would bring a pillow because if you're at like a bunch of different hotels, or if you're at someone's house and it's like you're not super familiar with it, so it gives you a piece of home a little bit to have your own pillow and just like a throw blanket or something, keep you comfortable. Snacks and water, obviously, and comfortable clothes. I'm not a fan of uncomfortable clothes when traveling. So those are my like big ones. Otherwise, everything else I could figure it out. Doesn't matter that much.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Anything you
are there
forget, you
other
can just
questions?
get on the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can get on the way. Am I like missing things? Am I too like basics?
No, I'm laughing because I am like, we are just so opposite about all of this. I'm laughing because I wish I were more like you in this way, that I could just be like, I'll figure it out. Like, just throw like the top pile of whatever in the suitcase and go.
Yeah.
All right,
I
Kristen, what are your non-negotiables
Yeah.
for a road trip?
oh gosh. Well, I agree with the blanket thing because I too am always cold. Oh gosh. I think, see, I'm so like, I don't want to say like paranoid, but I'm just like, I need like, okay, like my like hippie first aid stuff. It's not even first aid. It's like, I need my essential oils, and I need like, I don't know, just like comforting things. Like a pillow is a great one. I feel like I also need like a sweatshirt and scrunchies to like keep my hair up, because for some reason like having my hair down while I'm driving a super long distance is just not a thing that I can do. I don't know. Maybe it isn't that much like for the actual driving part. Maybe it is pretty simple. Maybe I'm
There's nothing
overthinking.
that's like, I can't think of anything that's just like, I cannot drive without this specific thing, except maybe like a charger.
Yeah, I
I
was gonna say a
know.
charger. Yeah.
I know my phone, because I don't know where the heck I'm going without a
Well,
GPS.
yeah.
Oh, well,
And I'll admit
yeah.
it.
You also shouldn't travel without
Imagine,
your phone.
can you
I,
imagine us as young millennials using a real map? I could never.
Yeah. I think everybody's a little bit different though. So I'm glad we all got to share our non-negotiable perspectives.
I think we can all agree, though, that snacks are a non-negotiable.
Always.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Speaking of snacks, our next question, it's kind of a two-part question. So the first part is, Erica, what is your food strategy for while you're out on the road?
Well, always have them available in an abundance because you don't want to be without the snacks or water or whatever you need. I like to have like kind of everything so that I don't have to stop as much. So if I'll get, like salty stuff or sweet, I'll get like some candy if I want it, or chips or something healthy. Like with this last road trip, I was eating like out of a huge bag of chips and had a guacamole in my hand, and I was driving with my other one. It's a
I
sight.
think I gave those to you.
Yeah, you did. Yes, I ate them all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I try to go a little bit healthier so that I don't feel yucky when I'm driving. Because if you feel like if your stomach's all ick while you're, you got 6 more hours left to drive, and you're like, okay, well, that was a bad idea. I shouldn't have had that. So healthy foods usually for me, waters, and I usually don't stop a whole lot if I can avoid it, because I'll have like a sufficient amount of snacks and whatnot.
I love snacks.
Yum.
It's like the best part of the road trip. And I highly agree on the balance of needing salty and sweet, because I feel like the longer you drive, the more your cravings just fluctuates.
Do you ever stop for food along the way, or do you try to like mostly have what you need?
I will, depends on how long the trip is, but if I was doing a real long one, like 10, 11, 12 hours, I probably would stop and just get like a quick meal, like stop for, I don't know, McDonald's or something easy, which doesn't make you feel good, by the way. But yeah, sometimes I'll stop, but if I can avoid it, I will try not to, because then, even if you stop once on a trip, it adds like 30 minutes, even if it's for like, you're in gas for 5 minutes, it adds so much time. So
Yeah.
the less stops, the better on road trips, I think.
All right. So, part two of this question is then what is your strategy for finding places to stay along your route?
If I'm planning it out more ahead of time, then I'll have certain places like a hotel booked or whatever if I need it, if it's a shorter, not as spontaneous, intentionally trip. If it is, then I will literally just drive until I'm ready to stop and search for a hotel that's within like the next hour or so and just go there. It's never anything crazy. It's like a Holiday Inn or something, like whatever the cheapest is, that's also clean, by the way. um,
Yes.
that I can just sleep in and take a shower and keep going the next day. So that's how, when me and our friend Christy, when we went on our road trip last summer, that's what we did every single day. We just drove until we were ready to stop. We kind of picked a general location, and then whoever was not driving found the hotel, booked it, and we went straight there. And it was super easy. Or just stay with family and friends, which is also super easy as well. You just got to plan ahead with them.
Yeah, if you want to talk about spontaneous, last summer Erica wanted to go to Mount Rushmore and asked our friend Christy if she wanted to go on a road trip, and they just up and left because, nobody was working, nothing was going on, and they just drove from Orlando to Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, it was crazy.
If I've ever heard of like an iconic road trip, that's what I think of.
Yep, it's one of my favorite trips I've ever done. That was awesome.
We were talking before, Jess and I, about how when you have friends who live all over the country, whether you met them in college or, for us working at Disney, it's kind of cool because wherever you go, it's pretty likely that you'll have somebody there that you can either like crash with or you can invite to like come along or
Yeah.
make plans to meet up with, which is, it just adds sort of like familiar aspect to the experience. And then also like you get to see your friends who you may not have seen for a
Yeah,
while.
having worked at Disney and going to school out of state, like outside of Chicago where I'm from, and knowing so many people in Nashville who have also branched out now, I could like make my road trips based on going to see someone. So if I wanted to go up and visit Jess from Texas to New York, I can go, up through Nashville, go see friends, stay with friends, go up to Chicago, stay with friends. Like I don't, it's nice when you have that group of people that are like in specific places, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go here specifically to see this person, and then I'm gonna make my way up to Jess up in New York, and it's super cool. That's part of the fun of road tripping that I like so much. It's probably different for a lot of people too, but for us, knowing so many people nationwide is awesome.
Yeah, and there's the huge bonus of when you know people in certain areas, you always have that locals perspective so you can find the really good foods to try and the cool places to
Hmm.
visit that you might not get from a Google search.
Right.
So I
Mm-hmm.
love word of mouth recommendations, especially if it's like somebody's hometown. They just know really niche things to try.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, you touched on this a little bit, but we wanted to talk about like budgeting for a road trip. So, do you have any advice when it comes to budgeting on a road trip? And are there any specific expenses you always kind of prepare for?
You need quite a bit of money to do a road trip comfortably, a long one at
Mm,
least. So they're still pricey depending on how long you're gone and where your stops are and how much you prepare and what kind of traveler you are and what you like to do. So if you're trying to do a long road trip to different cities, that's going to be much different than if you're going to a bunch of national parks where you just need like a tent and some camping supplies and the admission to the parks and whatnot. So um, you have to budget and do your research based on where you're going, what you're going to do, and kind of plan it out that way. And always be prepared for things that are bad that will inevitably happen. Like women, especially, know how to jump your car, know how to change a flat so that, you're
Yeah.
not needing strangers to help you necessarily for safety reasons. I've had cracks in my windshield, I've hit animals, I've gotten into bad weather. Like something bad always happens. So just be prepared for that, and also the expenses that come with that, because your insurance can be affected as well. And have more than enough money budgeted for gas, because depending on where you go, for example, like in Texas, gas isn't super expensive, but if you're going out to California, it's almost $5 a gallon. So make sure that you
whew.
have plenty budgeted for gas.
I also think it's important to like get your car checked, before your road trip. You know what I mean? Like make sure you've had your oil changed recently and you have enough like windshield wiper fluid. If you're road tripping in the winter, which I don't recommend being from somewhere where winter happens, but if you're, even if like you're moving or you have to drive for some reason, like I mean, there's so many different reasons you have to drive your kid to college or whatever it is. Antifreeze is very
Yeah.
important.
It also depends on whether you're taking your own car or not. So I've always taken my own car because renting a car for a certain amount of time can be pretty expensive.
Yes.
But if you don't want to have to deal with, things happening to the car that you have to pay for and your insurance gets affected with, then rent a car and your mileage doesn't matter and all that and whatever. So that also kind of is an expense that you'd have to think of.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I'm a big believer, hashtag not sponsored, but I have had AAA for years and I'm a big fan of it.
Me too.
Just it gives me a lot of peace of mind. I've also been able to help friends and other people that I've been with on
Mm-hmm.
different trips when it hasn't been my car because I've been with them. So that's like a little hot tip. Even if it's not your car, if you are the AAA card holder, you can still get the roadside service for the person that you're with. You just have to be physically present when the AAA crew arrives. So
True.
that's been super helpful.
Yeah. Also, I know my insurance at least has that kind of
Yeah.
service as well. So if you're going on a road trip, you can check with your insurance to see if they offer roadside assistance as well.
Yeah.
Those are awesome tips.
I need
Thank
to learn
you.
how to change a tire.
It's not super hard.
Put it on your
Yeah.
bucket list.
Put it on your bucket list.
All right. So, our next question, Erica, is from your perspective, what do you think makes a good road trip buddy?
Someone who can keep good conversation with you, who pays attention with you to the road, and doesn't, you know, just sleep the whole way or is just on the phone the whole time. Like someone who's willing to talk with you and keep you company so you're not just staring at the road by yourself, because that can make it pretty monotonous. Someone
I could
who's,
imagine.
yeah. Someone who's down for changing things up if an opportunity presents itself, I'd say. So like if there's something that for example, like when me and Jess we drove down to Miami during
Oh,
Christmas time,
yes.
and we saw the most amazing light display and we were like, what in the heck is that? And I
Oh
pulled
my God.
across 4 lanes of traffic to get off the highway.
Oh
And
my
we
God.
went and found it and it was like the best ever. So
Um, we need to share. It was called Santa's Enchanted Village, and it was the best night of my whole life. It was
it was amazing.
it was a janky Christmas carnival based in Miami, and Santa was on a jet ski.
He
Amazing.
was. Santa was being crazy there.
He was crazy. It had quite a reputation, but so these are the things that can happen on a road trip. You have lifelong memories
Yeah.
of Santa.
Santa.
Santa. You never know what you'll find. So yeah. Um changing things up, stopping on the side of the road for Santa. And then someone who keeps your spirits up and doesn't let like little things bother you too much. So, if something bad happens, whatever, you hit something, your car dies, it's all good. You'll fix it and then you'll keep going and it'll be great and it'll just be a road trip story for you.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest qualities you need in like a road trip partner is someone who's very flexible and
Yeah.
adaptable and go with the flow. Because you're right, you never know what's going to happen on a road trip, and the person that you're with, like depending on their outlook and attitude, it really shows you like someone's true character when you're on a road trip.
They could make or break it, honestly. They could make it the rest of the trip kind of no fun and downer, or they can just be like, well, now what? And make something
Exactly.
funny out of it or whatever. And,
All right. I feel like this has been like a theme, but we're gonna go with it. We're gonna just keep on driving. So we all know that road trips can be pretty unpredictable. Can you tell us about a time that jumps out in your memory when something crazy happened to you while you were on the road and how you handled it?
yes, this is the easiest question in the whole world.
That's why I wrote it,
Yeah.
because I know what you're going to say.
Yes. It was the most ridiculous evening of my entire life. So, this was on my trip to Mount Rushmore with Christy at Christy Stars on Instagram. It's great, follow her. We had the best day. So we drove all the way up to South Dakota to go to Mount Rushmore. And it was the whole point of the trip, and it was so much fun. And we got there, best day. And then we were going from South Dakota. We were going to go up to North Dakota just for a second to kind of mark that state off our list. We weren't stopping to do anything crazy there. Just go up there, take a few photos, say we've been there, and then keep going over to Minnesota. So we had this awesome day. We had a beautiful, literally the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen in my entire life. It looked like the Lion King. It was like over this field, and it was gorgeous and crazy, like nothing I'd ever seen before, surrounded by a storm. So awesome. We keep driving. So at this point, we had like 6 hours till Minnesota, and it was already probably like 7 at night. So it was going to be a late night. So we got to North Dakota. We got bit by a ton of bugs. Like, went to take this photo by the big old North Dakota sign. Hey, we're at the top of the country. Super cool. There's nothing here. And then we started getting bit by these bugs like real hard, very unpleasant. We're like, all right, let's peace out of here. This sucks. Then we got stopped. So this road trip was last June of 2020. So right in the middle of the pandemic. So there was already like not a whole lot going on in the cities we stopped in and everything. So when we went to North Dakota, we had to go back down into South Dakota, obviously, to go back over to Minnesota. So we're driving through South Dakota, and we get stopped at a COVID checkpoint. And they said, you can't come through our town because you're from Florida. You have Florida plates. You can't go past here. So we had to go back the other direction for like an hour. And we actually found this little town on the way back that was where they found the giant Sioux fossil, like the dinosaur that they have in the Chicago Museum.
Oh my gosh.
And Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, Dino Sioux. We found where she was dug up. So that was kind of cool. But we had to go backwards because of the COVID checkpoint. And then, so we're driving to Minnesota. It was middle of the night. We're kind of bummed because we wanted to get a picture in every state that we stopped in. So we were driving at night. We didn't see a Minnesota sign because we came into this little tiny bitty town. There was no one on the road, like literally no one. We hadn't seen a cop the entire time that we were in South Dakota, which was like a lot of hours because we had to go from one side of the state to the other and then back the other direction. Not a single cop. And the literal like 2 minutes after I said that to Christy, I got pulled over and got a ticket by the cop in South Dakota. Drove another, 2 hours. Christy also got pulled over. So we got pulled over twice in one night.
Oh, no.
Christy did not get a ticket, thank God. We were going 6 over. Yes, 1 digit 6 over. Unnecessary. And then it was probably like, 1 in the morning. We're in the middle of nowhere of Minnesota. We hit the most massive raccoon I've ever seen in my entire life. Like,
no.
It destroyed the whole front of my car. And we didn't know until we got to the hotel, which was like still another hour away. So we stopped and we looked at it. It was like 2 a.m. Looked at the car. I was like, I can't deal with it right now. I have to go to sleep. So went to sleep, came back in the morning, and just the whole front was like hanging down the bottom. No, we're literally at the top of the country. We have to go all the way back down to Florida. So we drove all the way to Nashville with a piece of my car hanging down, just like skimming the road bad. But we didn't know what to do. So we were like, all right, well, we'll just see what happens. And we finally got to Nashville, and I went to get my oil changed again because we had already just driven up and down a whole country and half back. And I was like, so we hit a raccoon. Can you like maybe tie up with a zip tie that piece that's hanging down so I can get it when I get to Florida? They're like, oh yeah, we got you. So they just literally tied up a bottom piece in my car to the underneath, and we kept going. So that was like the most eventful, unfortunate evening after the best day. And it was, looking back, it's hilarious, but in the moment we were like, oh my God, I can't deal with this. It was wild.
Oh no. Oh my God. Didn't you name the raccoon?
Yes, his name was Jimmy. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Jimmy.
Didn't you name the raccoon?
That's a very significant part of the story.
Like, I'm just concerned about what this raccoon's name was.
I think Christy named him because I have a video of her, and crying because Christy accidentally hit it because we literally didn't see it until it was right in front of us. So there was no way it could have been
Aw.
avoided. And she's like crying in the video and she's like, I've never hit an animal. I'm so sorry, Jimmy. We're like, who's Jimmy?
Oh my God.
It was
Poor
ridiculous.
Jimmy.
Yes, rest in peace, Jimmy. His 1 year death was just a couple weeks ago. We mourned him.
Oh, he'll never be forgotten. He is a very loved raccoon.
Never forget Jimmy. Anyway,
Clearly very well fed too.
he was a big boy.
Big boy Jimmy. Look, he's eternalized on this podcast now.
Yes.
But I think, like, overarchingly, you're telling this whole story, and I know it's been a year, so you're laughing about it now, but I feel like you were also laughing about it then. And just the fact that you understand going into it, like you had said earlier, like, something's gonna happen. Like, something isn't gonna go the way you planned it. It's just how it works. And so you sort of just take that on as part of the overall experience and roll with the punches as they present themselves and tie up the front of your car so you can drive home, and you just improvise and you get resourceful, and then at the end of the day you have to laugh about it because life is like a road trip. You just don't know what's going to happen. It's a testament to your character and the person that you are. So
Yeah.
I admire that about you, Erika.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh, what a story.
Crazy.
That was a good one. All right, so moving on to the next one. Let's talk about ways to preserve your energy on these really long road trip days. What keeps you recharged when you're spending so many hours of the day in your car?
Music, specifically that I can like sing along to, kind of passes the time for me better. Podcasts. So if you have like a good podcast that you like, that always helps.
Nope. Don't have one of those.
Oh yes.
ReDIScover.
One of my trips last year, I actually listened to a few seasons of a TV show. So I was watching One Tree Hill at home, and I had already seen it, and I was like right in the middle of it. So I was like, well, I already know what is going on. Like, I don't need to watch it, but I can listen to it. So I played like One Tree Hill on Hulu on my phone and just had it in my cup holder. So I wasn't watching it. I was just listening, and it actually passed the time really well. And then what else? Phone calls. I think phone calls pass the time like crazy on road trips. So I will probably call like 5 or 6 people during a road trip, and it'll fill up like hours and hours. And you get to catch up with your friends and family. So that's like my favorite way to stay energized during a trip.
I agree with you. I love phone calls on road trips.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
So, given that you are clearly a vet, what advice would you give to a first-time road tripper?
So whether you're by yourself or with friends, I think they apply. So be open to spontaneity and having a loose itinerary. Acknowledge that you will be in the car for a lot of hours and accept it because it kind of helps the time go faster. Don't always keep the map up to like be checking the time and your distance left because that is just like agonizing. Like, oh man, I got 9 hours left. Are you kidding me? Just like, I got 300 miles to go. I don't need my map up. Let me turn the music on, whatever. I put vlog and photograph. I would put that at like the very top, just even if it's just for yourself, like how like me and Jess call them memory photos, and you're not posting them necessarily. It's literally just so that you can remember something you did or something that was going on during your stops. Or if you're just like driving along and you have a thought and you kind of like want to talk to yourself for a second, and then I like looking back at those kinds of things for like how I was feeling in the moment. Be willing to make pit stops whenever and wherever you want, not just like a restroom or a rest stop, but like, oh, that looks interesting. Look at this. I'm passing this museum. I have like an hour I could spare. Let me go stop in there real quick. That kind of thing. And don't be upset if something changes or you get rerouted because it could be a huge blessing and you might see something that you would not have seen otherwise.
Like Dino Sue.
Like Dino Sue, exactly.
It was the last moments of Jimmy the Raccoon.
Oh, man. Poor Jimmy. I blame the COVID checkpoint.
Honestly.
For our last question, we're going to talk about a little bit about bucket list things, but We haven't gotten to touch on this yet, but Erika, do you want to share with our audience what your big goal is that you're working towards right now?
I got you. So my current travel goal is to hit all 50 states before I turn 30. I am at 36, I think. Yeah, I've got a lot of them. All of the ones I haven't hit are all in clumps. So I haven't been to any of the Northeast states, so any of the New England states, and I haven't been to any of the Northwest states, so all the big, pretty ones up there. And then New Mexico and Alaska and Hawaii I've not been to. So two of the two big chunks of ones I plan to do a road trip in. So I'll do a New England road trip that me and Jess had been talking about doing for a couple years now. And then the Northwest is actually another road trip I'd love to do with the national parks and such. And then now I live right next to New Mexico, so I'll go there probably soon. And Hawaii and Alaska, and it'll be awesome.
I don't know if you're road tripping to Hawaii, but that's awesome.
So our main question was, what would be your dream bucket list road trip to take? Would it be that one or would it be something else?
I think right now my big bucket list road trip would be up the California coast. So like all the cities along the California coast, up to Oregon, Seattle, and then doing all the national parks around there. So Yosemite, Mount Rainier, Glacier, Yellowstone, Grand Teton, and then so making a big letter P, and then ending with the High School Musical school.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. We love
Gotta go there.
Gotta go. That is a major bucket list item in itself, if you
Yes.
ask me.
Dreams.
Dreams.
Wanna go?
Yeah.
Where's that get from?
Zach, where are you?
Can't wait. All right. So those are our main questions for you, Erika, all about road trips. But we do like to wrap up our episodes with our special guests with some rapid fire questions. So we have this broken up into two sections. We have road trip rapid fires just particularly for you. And then we have our ReDIScover rapid fires that we ask all of our ReDIScover guests. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Our first road trip rapid fire question is, what is your favorite place that you've road tripped to?
Mount Rushmore. Easy.
Classic.
Most underrated place you found while on a road trip?
Not a super small place necessarily or underrated, but one that if you're not a big Disney person, you might not know exists, but Marceline, Missouri. So Walt Disney's hometown, and all of the cool things that they have there, Disney history, the museum, all that kind of stuff. Oh, and the inspiration for Main Street, obviously. That place was super cool. I loved it there.
Oh, I love that answer.
That's so
That's
cute.
awesome.
Mhm.
That place is cool.
It's really cool there.
I love it. I just wanted to stand on Main Street.
I know, I loved it. When we were there, we heard one of the trains go through, and it was like just us when we were there. And we were like, this is kind of eerie. Is that you, Walt? What's going on?
Walt loves trains.
Walt loves trains,
Walt loves trains is like the Disney cast member saying of mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
It is.
Oh God, so funny. Okay, next question. What is your favorite fast food stop?
Whataburger. Only recently realized because of my fiance.
Oh, Andrew.
Andrew.
What do you get at Whataburger?
A honey butter chicken biscuit, but you can't go until 11 p.m. So not for breakfast, it's like fourth meal. So late night Whataburger, and get a honey butter chicken biscuit when they serve the breakfast in the evening.
Fourth meal.
Fourth meal.
Dang, I'm loving that concept. We need
Have you
more
never
meals
heard
in the
that before?
day.
Have you never heard fourth meal before?
I have, but I forgot it existed, and now I want to embrace that concept in my life. So
That's what we did in college all the time. We're like, all right, who's ready for fourth meal?
oh my God.
Amazing. Favorite road trip snack?
Mango slices from Trader Joe's, specifically the sweet ones, not the regular or spicy.
Yes.
Nice.
Trader Joe's was like built for road trips.
They are like the snack central of
Yeah.
all grocery stores.
Probably not the healthiest it could be, but healthier than like, chocolate or something.
We
A
love
plus.
both options.
Yeah, you're right. Let me get chocolate bunny, but also Flamingo faces.
A chocolate bunny, not at Easter.
Yes.
And then smack dab middle of summer.
Mood.
Oh my God. Okay, favorite thing that you bring with you on a road trip?
A sense of adventure.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, yay. And a pillow.
Absolutely. Need it. A must.
Favorite music and/or podcast to listen to in the car? You don't have to say ReDIScover,
But you can.
but like you could.
I like things because I sing. I like things that I can sing to, not necessarily just listen to, because it kind of passes the time for me better. So like
Mm.
Bruno Mars, Justin Timberlake, Ariana. I really like the Jenna and Julian podcast. So the Jenna Marbles podcast.
Yeah.
That's like hilarious. You can pass hours and hours and listening to like just every single episode is different and weird. But they stopped their podcast, which is sad. But you can still listen to them on Apple, I think.
I love them a lot. They're so funny.
Sad.
They're great.
And of course, ReDIScover.
And ReDIScover, obviously.
All right. So those are our road trip rapid fires.
So then we're going to transition into the rapid fires for all ReDIScover guests.
The first one being, what does living authentically mean to you?
Living authentically to me means living up to your own standards, accomplishing what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel happiest and most excited about life every day. So living not to get to an ultimate end destination, but to fully embrace the moments that you're presently in, because that's really what matters.
That's true. I think life is happening in the now and nowhere else.
It is.
So
It is.
Just like a road trip.
Agreed.
I'm inspired.
Thank you.
It's a good symbolism for life.
If you could travel to one place anywhere in the world right now, where would it be and why?
I would travel to, I would start in Ireland because I want to visit all the countries of my ancestry. So I want to go to like Scotland, England, Italy, that kind of thing. So like go get a DNA test, one of the ancestry DNA, 23andMe, and go mark down all the countries you want to go to. And that's what I want to do.
Okay, that's like a brilliant idea.
Thank you.
I love that.
That is also a bucket list thing for me. I love that.
Erica's really good at writing bucket list items that
Yeah.
you're like, oh, yeah, that's a really good idea. I got to add that.
Yeah.
Okay, what is one thing you would be doing every day if your life were free of limitations?
I would be performing and singing for thousands of people because it would be happy and everyone would sing along. And it would just be like, that's like my one big dream in life since I was little. That's all I wanted to do.
Aww.
That's so cute.
I love that. It was so pure. It wasn't like, for financial gain or anything, like not even the fame aspect. You're just like, I just want to sing and make people happy because I'm singing. I love it. I love it. What is one childlike quality that you think would be beneficial if adults utilized it in their daily lives?
Being unafraid of what others think of you when you choose to do something and choosing to be whatever you dream to be. So literally reaching for the stars instead of falling short because you stop believing in yourself. So like kids will just be like, I'm gonna be a doctor, and that's what they're gonna be. Okay, I'm gonna be an astronaut and go to the moon. And you're like, all right, then do it. But then people kind of stop telling you that and it kind of falls away. But I think that kids are great like that. They just do whatever they want to do.
I agree. They're just like, they're so cute.
They are.
Anyways, so thank you all for listening so much to today's road trip episode. Erika, you were the perfect guest to bring on for this topic, and I'm just so happy we got to document this conversation with all of the memories and the road trip stories that I love hearing when you tell me, and now we get to share them with our whole little ReDIScover family. So thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, this was so fun. I feel like you're just like cool, collected, like go with the flow, spontaneous energy is so infectious, and it makes me want to get out and see the world and not worry too much about the details. So, thank you for inspiring us.
Thanks for having me. We love a good road trip.
We really do. We do.
We do.
And I think these adventures will just last a lifetime. Can't wait to see where you go next.
Thanks. Want to come with me on the next one?
Yes, I do. I'll see you in the car.
See you in the car. I'll be there tomorrow. Pick you up.
Can't wait.
I love it. All right. Well, make sure to check out Erika on Instagram at January Sonder. Thank you guys so much for listening. We're hoping that you are enjoying Travel Month and enjoying going on the journey along with us. Be sure to share this episode with anyone who you think is a big road trip fan or needs a few tips for their planning process or not planning process, who just needs some good road trip vibes.
Or if you're trying to drop a not so subtle hint that you want someone to go on a road trip with you, just send them this episode. Be like,
Yes.
just something to think about. Next week, we're going to talk all about planning and packing for a very specific type of vacation that has been highly requested for months now. So we're excited to finally get that conversation out into the ReDIScover universe. So stay tuned next Tuesday morning, 8 a.m.
Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of ReDIScover.
Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening. Your reviews are what keep us going, and we'd love to hear from you.
Join us every Tuesday for a new conversation and let us know what you think we should talk about next.
Follow us on Instagram at positively.kristen and at jessicafay508. And check out Jess's blog at theroadjesstraveled with 1l.com.
Until next time,
Stay frumpy!